Hi Seekers, welcome back to this week's Weekly Miracles. Today's story has to do about a home, okay? Now, considering that everybody is pretty much in the season for staying at home, staying indoors and just, enjoying our sweet comforts of the home, I feel like this would be a really good story to share with you guys. So let's go ahead and read it, okay? This story was entered into this Everyday Miracles by Teresa Ambord. So, a home of our own. I dreaded telling him, Ryan, we're gonna have to move again. My 9-year-old son just stared at me. Mom, why? You said we'd be here a long time. Since his dad and I divorced, Ryan and I had moved 3 times already. And he'd been to 4 different schools. We were both frustrated with renting. Do we have to? Ryan asked. I knew he was deeply disappointed and, quite frankly, so was I. Unfortunately, the landlord is going to sell this house. I'm sorry, honey. There's nothing I can do. We had been in the house for a year and we loved it. It was in a quiet, though low-income neighborhood in the town of Anderson, a few miles south of the city where I worked. Living in Anderson was ideal for us. A good elementary school was close by, and we liked our neighbors. The street we lived on was actually a circular block, made up of 120 similar homes. Some of the houses were owner-occupied, and some, like ours, were renter-occupied. Some were well cared for, and some not so much, but we were happy there. Sometimes in the early evening, we walk around the circle and talk about the day and the things we notice about the other houses. This one needs paint, Ryan said quietly. Yeah, but it has a nice fenced yard in front and a great dog. Then one evening, we both noticed one particular house. It was as if it had appeared out of nowhere. Look at that one, Mom. We paused a moment. I like the color, I said. This house looks loved. Why haven't we noticed it before? He shrugged. I like the apple tree. From then on, it became the apple tree house, and we took special notice of it whenever we passed. After the landlord broke the news to us, I looked for a rental in Anderson, but to no avail, found nothing suitable. With no other choice, we moved back to the city, about 12 miles north. Our house in the city was, newer and bigger than our Anderson house, but somehow it just didn't feel right. We never settled in, and it always felt restless there. I knew I had to find us a place we could stay indefinitely, a place where, Ryan could make friends and continue in one school. I had heard about a program in the area that helped low-income people make a down payment to help buy a home. As far as anyone knew, the program had run out of money and wasn't active. Yet somehow I found a phone number for the program director and wasted 0 time calling. This is Lisa, a woman said. I breathed a silent prayer and introduced myself. Lisa, I don't have much money, but I can pay a mortgage if I can get one. Can you help me? Lisa shrieked with a loud laugh, and my heart sank. Evidently, everyone was right. The program was toast. I cannot believe you called me today of all days, Lisa said. We ran out of money ages ago. We didn't even keep a waiting list because we had no idea when we see more funds. Then last night, out of nowhere, I got a new funding, and you're the first caller. It was my turn to shriek. As I listened to her instructions, I prayed quietly, please God, please God, please God, please God. One thing I knew is that this funding was not out of nowhere, as Lisa believed. It was from God. Then we talked to money that I could afford. Again, Lisa laughed. You're not going to believe this. I just got a listing in your price range. The only thing is, it's not in the city. It's down in Anderson. My heart leaped. Are you kidding me? We love Anderson. A pastor owns the house and his family's been transferred already, so it's sitting empty. They need to sell it fast. Can you meet me there tomorrow? I agreed, and then she told me the address, and I didn't recognize the house number, but I sure knew the street name. It was on the same circular block we had lived on before. I knew none of this was coincidental, by the way. The next day, Ryan and I drove to Anderson to meet Lisa. "You be the navigator," I said, handing him a piece of paper. "We're looking for number 1935. We drove up to the circle past our old house, and Ryan began calling out addresses. "There's 1889, a few houses later, 1909. We're getting closer, Mom." Then a thought occurred to me. "Ryan, wouldn't it be amazing if this house turns out to be, the apple tree house?" No sooner did I say those words than we saw it. Number 1935 out of 120 houses on the block. And all the houses in Anderson, the one we were going to see was indeed our apple tree house. Ryan said solemnly, "This is a good thing." Minutes later, we were inside. It needed a few minor fixes, okay? But Ryan and I both knew this was our new home. Standing in her future kitchen, Lisa started the paperwork, including the check of my finances. With Lisa's help, the process went smoothly and my offer was accepted. And in no time, the house was ours, and everything I had prayed for, a big trees, affordable payments, a school Ryan liked, and a fenced yard for a dog, it was all there. There was no question to it. The day we moved in, I promised Ryan that we would not move again until he finished high school, and we didn't. That was 20 years ago. Ryan is a grown man now. But I'm still here in my apple tree house, and I could have moved, to a newer, fancier place by now. But this is my miracle house. With the economy in turmoil, I've watched as numerous friends and family members have lost their big, beautiful homes to foreclosure. And each time I shared their heartbreak and quietly thank God for my humble but affordable home. My dad always told me, God's not often early, but he's never late. This house and the funding to buy it seemed to come out of nowhere, but I believe that the house came on the market and God covered it with his hand. Till we were ready, that is, of course. Oh, and there's one more important thing I would like to mention about our house, which it took me a long time to notice. Our house number is 1935, which just happens to be a combination of my birthday, January 9th, which is 19, and Ryan's birthday, which is March 5th, 35. I believe that God stamped this house with our special number, a sign that he set aside just for us. Whenever I see our number on the front of the house, 1935, I smile. And I hear God's voice say to me, "You're welcome." I really feel like that was a very inspiring story, at least for most of us that are looking for new homes. Maybe you know somebody who's looking for a new home. Just remind them that miracles do happen. And that's a miracle right there. Whether you want to believe in God, that it's a man or woman, whether you want to believe in the universe, shit like that happens for a very important reason. And that very important reason is because we choose to believe. Simply enough, we choose to believe. I know.